As so many of you are aware, the fine folks at IK Multimedia just last week released their incredible new piece of software called Tonex, which allows us to be able to model our actual tube amps and overdrive distortion pedals, capture them so that we can use them natively on our computer within the Tonex ecosystem. I've done a couple videos on this already. I've used it now. I have a preset pack available for it, and I must say I'm absolutely blown away by it. They've done an incredible job. One of the big questions I have received, though, is how can we use Tonex in conjunction with Amplitube 5? Can we? How does it work? What do we do? How do we create presets? I've had a million questions, and I thought it's about time. Let's get a video done for this. Let's go through and see what we can and what we can't do and what we might be able to do in the future. I also want to talk about another question I had concerning Tonex, and that is about the importing and exporting of presets. So we're also going to talk about that first. We're going to go through this in a real systematic way and hopefully answer all of the questions that everybody has so you guys can be up and running, utilizing not only your Tonex plugin, but also utilizing your model captures and the existing model captures within Amplitube for even more possibilities. Let's head over to the computer and see what we have. So first things first, I'm over here in the Tonex VST plugin within Cubase. I have to work within Cubase to shoot these videos to have audio that's going to work with the video. And we're going to start here. I want to talk about importing and exporting presets because I had a bunch of questions about this after I released my RAV Gen 100 Ultimate preset pack, which is some captures I did here in the studio. I did a demo video of them. I love the way they sound. The link will be below if you want to grab those. There's a free single demo that you can download. Use that to your heart's content. Then there's the more full-featured pack with a lot more captures and presets as well that you can get. And both of those links will be in the description below if you would like to support my channel and have some cool new sounds for Tonex. But how do we get presets in and out of Tonex without using ToneNet? And we can obviously use ToneNet. I can click here and it's going to search for models on ToneNet, and that's fine. And there's going to be a lot up there. But if we did want to just maybe purchase some premium presets from third-party folks like myself, or maybe we just sharing with friends something we don't want to put up on Tone.net. So first things first, I'm going to come to Tone Models and I'm going to search for RAV because this is the name of my bundle. And you'll see I don't have these installed at present. If I come over to presets and search for RAV, there's nothing there. So how would I import these? In the Tone Models tab, it's not going to allow us to actually import anything. If I go to presets though, I can click on any preset. Let's click on the 80s Hero. And if I right click that, gives me the ability to export and import presets. We're interested in the importing the presets. So if I click import preset, and then I navigate over to my folder that says Tonex preset packs, I can go to my JS-Rev Gen 100 Ultimate. I click on this and there's my amp models and presets. So I'm just going to pick, let's say, channel 2 here, and we import that. You'll notice it seems like nothing happened. One of the questions I got is, does that overwrite the preset that we right-clicked on? And it does not. You'll notice those presets are still there. If I go down now, you'll notice there is the preset that I just imported into Tonex. I can click on that and I have it here. Now, if I go over to my tone models, you'll also notice as I scroll down, we have to go look for it, but we can also just search, and I could put in RAV now. You'll notice I have the tone model right here. I also have the preset, and it is up and running and ready to go. And sounds great. We can use that in all sorts of different ways. So one question that I did receive is, you know, is this just a preset or does it include the tone model? And when we do export any models that we have created ourselves, it does include the tone model itself. And that will show up in your tone models list after we import it. So here we are within Amplitube. And one thing you're going to have to do, and this is something I've been told from the folks that I know over at IK Multimedia, they told me make sure that you have Tonex installed before you update to the latest Amplitube 5.5. And you're going to need 5.5 to be able to use any of the Tonex ecosystem within Amplitube. And I'm going to say you're probably going to want to do that. Keep in mind also, I have a couple affiliate links in the description below as well to purchase both Amplitube 5 and any of the Tonex versions that you'd like. I get a little bit of a kickback from the folks at IK Multimedia, which is appreciated. And if you want to help me support my channel and what I do here, it's always appreciated if you can use those links, and they're below. So thank you guys in advance if you decide to do so, but obviously no obligation. So here we are within Amplitube. I have installed Tonex, obviously. I have upgraded to Amplitube 5.5, and you will want to do that. If you don't upgrade to Amplitube 5.5, you are not going to have the ability to be able to use Tonex within Amplitube. But here we go. It doesn't look much different, right, to what we're used to with Amplitube. But the big question is, folks are asking, how do we use the Tonex models within here? Well, let's take a look. Over here, we have our amps. The only place that you can actually load Tonex models, as far as I know right now, into Amplitube is within the amp block. Unfortunately, we cannot add pedals. If we go to the pedals, we're not going to see any ability to add any of our Tonex pedal captures in there. We can add a Tonex pedal capture, believe it or not, to the amp block. Coming in the future, I have it on good authority, not sure when, but there is going to be improvements made to both Tonex and Amplitube where we will be able to add in the future, hopefully the near future. I don't know when, but I'm sure the folks at IK Multimedia are working hard to give us this. We're going to be able to load in independent amp captures and pedal captures in a chain. So let's keep our fingers crossed that comes out soon. That's going to be very, very handy. But for now, let's just deal with what we have here. We've chosen our amp block. We come over here where it says type. We're in the amps. You're going to have all of these different amps at your disposal, whatever you own from your Amplitube ecosystem. And if we scroll right to the bottom, we see other. Now, obviously, too, I can close these up so I don't have to scroll through so much. Right at the bottom, we see other, and it says Tonex. So if I click this, this is interesting now. It says all the Amplitube cabinets in the same chain as the Tonex amp have been bypassed. So there's this caution warning that comes up. I'm going to close that out. And what that's done, it's come over to the cab block in Amplitube and it's disabled it with this power button. Now, why does it do that? Well, it's making the assumption that the Tonex model has been captured with a cab. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's happened. We could have done a direct capture, and it's okay because we're going to be able to work this out. But it makes that assumption. I think it's a good assumption. So it's going to assume that we already have the speaker or the cab information in with this model. So it's going to disable that because we don't want to run the modeled cab through another cab within Amplitube. But we can't, it is all flexible. Don't worry, we're going to get to how we can use either or. So we pull this up and we see this Black Angus model comes up. And here we are using it within the Amplitube architecture. So now we pull this down up here where it has said Black Angus, and this is going to be our tone model library. And we can choose any tone models that we might have on our particular computer or our version of Tonex, shall we say. So I imported my captures here, and let's go to JS Rav channel 3. I can choose that. I pull this up. And there's our tone. So we're basically just hearing what we would in Tonex as it would come up. Now, one question is, can we take a preset that we created in Tonex? So not just an amp capture, but now let's say we take that amp capture and we tweak the settings and we add some reverb and compression and we save it as a preset within Tonex. Unfortunately, as far as I know, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, there's no way of loading a Tonex preset with the tweaks to it into Amplitube. We've got to create our own tweaks within Amplitube and save that then as an Amplitube preset, and then we could reload it. So there is a lot of benefit, I think, to working within the Amplitube architecture, because then we're going to be able to take those tweaks that we make to our Tonex model and add other things to it. Compressors, EQs, delays, reverbs, phasers, tremolos, whatever you have in Amplitube that you can add, and then create an Amplitube preset in conjunction with the Tonex model, but with all the sweeteners and goodness that we get from Amplitube. So a really interesting way to do it, but unfortunately I don't see any way of just taking a preset we worked on in Tonex and loading it into Amplitube. So having said that, we come over here and we say, well, so how do we control our reverb? I can turn reverb up. we're not getting anything. And we go, well, why are we not getting anything? Well, we may think that these are the only controls we have at our disposal, and that's a lot of them work. We have our gain, which we can control. We can control, click, and go back to where it was by default. But if we come up to this little button up in the right-hand corner of where we can select our tone model, we click that. Now we see what we had within the Tonex plugin, and now we see, well, the reverb is disengaged. If I engage this now, and then turn up my reverb, and I'm guessing it comes disengaged very much on purpose, because we may have reverb in our chain within Amplitube from a different source, maybe one of the pedals that we have within Amplitube 5. Compressor is also disengaged. If we engage that and bring the compressor control up, we're going to get more compression out of it. All right, so that works great. So this is really cool. We can turn our amp on and off. We can turn our cab on and off, and that's going to be very interesting thing we can use. We also have a noise gate here that we can choose, and if we actually press on the button here, it gives us the extra controls, and we can engage or disengage it. We also have the ability to make all the tweaks to the different frequencies we can control, and the Q on the mid, or the bandwidth on the mid, which treble frequency we want to be able to boost or cut, our presence, our depth, and our mix, and we can reset the chain. So really cool stuff. We have all those same controls within Amplitube, and we can create a really great preset utilizing any of these. So we can click that off and just go back to our normal amp model. So very cool. So now we say, okay, what if I wanted to use one of the amazing collections of different cabs that I have available within Amplitube 5 using their VIR cab room? Well, it's very simple. We come up here, we turn off the existing cab, which is the Rev 212. We get this disgustingly awful direct amp non-cabbed sound, and then we get out of this and we come over to our cab and we simply engage the cab room within Amplitube. And we can choose whatever cab we have at our disposal. And the options are endless depending on how big of a library you have here. Beautiful stuff. Let's say we decide on the 412 Brit Silver, we can then come over and tweak the microphones that we're using, right? Let's say I want, instead of the Dynamic 57, I want a Royer 121 ribbon mic. And I can use all of the different ability we've always had within Amplitube 5 to tweak that in any way I want. Let's say we were happy with that. I'm just working through this pretty quick, and we wanted to start adding some effects, right? Let's say I didn't like the reverb that I have within, here within, not that I was using it, but within my Tonex model. I can simply come over to a pedal. Well, while I'm here, let's do this. Let's drag over a delay using the great X gear pedals. Let's drag over a reverb. And we'll edit these. I'll just bring in like in a little, maybe room reverb. Tweak that up a bit. I will bring in a little bit of vintage tape delay here. Let's sync that to the time. We have something really nice there. I could then say, well, I want to come to my amp and, I'm happy with the gain. Maybe I'll pull the bass back a bit, bump the treble and presence up a bit, pull the depth back a bit. I can do all sorts of things that I'm kind of used to messing around with. I want it to come in and maybe add a little mastering style compression to the end. And maybe even come in with some of the specialty things we have within Amplitube, some of these cool rack effects like the little Neve here, and maybe cut out some low frequencies. You know, maybe take a little tiny bit of the possible muddiness out and add a little brightness on top. So we have a real nice little thing here. We could set this up and say JS Rav and save that. Now, next time I'm playing around with Amplitube, and let's say I go to one of my other presets like the 57 Custom Twin Push. There's my preset. But I want to go back to this JS Rav that I just saved. I recall that. Everything gets recalled beautifully and works as I desired. We can even come to our amp room here and decide that load a custom IR, maybe something with a fathead mic from my JS Rav 212 collection that's also available on my website. As an IR pack that I have made from my Rav 212 cabinet with vintage 30s. I also have a 112 available in there with a warehouse speaker. Could choose other different IRs from that same collection. I could pick one of those and then come back to my amp and tweak things back maybe to the way that they were before I made those other little tweaks. And I could also decide that, hey, you know what? I actually want the cab that was originally with that Tonex model, and then come back over here and just disable my cab section. And also I could just disable all the other things that I added in here and just go back to the straight on old Tonex model. And do whatever I want with that. And the beauty is we can make little tweaks depending on the guitar we're using. And save any of those things as a preset on its own. So we can see that the use of Tonex and Amplitube 5 together is kind of a match made in heaven. Works beautifully. There are going to be improvements made, as I have mentioned. The folks at IK Multimedia have mentioned to me that these improvements are coming. Obviously, this is a brand new piece of software. I'm kind of blown away by how amazing it's all working for something that's only a few days old. Very usable, but going to be very nice when we're able to maybe now take some overdrive pedal models from the Tonex ecosystem and add those in along with an amp model. And you can really see where the folks from IK Multimedia are going with this. And they're going to create an ecosystem that's going to work beautifully and give us lots of possibilities. All right, there you go. I hope that I actually covered everything in there. I was going over in my head all the questions that I was asked, and I wanted to cover them. If I didn't cover anything, please feel free to leave me a comment, and I'll try to answer your question about anything that is still confusing about this. But I hope that that covered everything. If anybody's interested in either my Tonex models packs that I made, there is a free one available as a sample that you can try. It's the Channel 2 kind of edge of breakup tone. Really happy with it. Tweak it to your tastes. And then there's also the full JS Rav Gen 100 Ultimate preset bundle that if you want to grab that to help to support my channel, that would be greatly appreciated. I also have the impulse responses you heard available on my website. I'll have links to it all below. I also, as I mentioned, have my affiliate links for Tonex and Amplitube through the fine folks at IK Multimedia. If you want to use those, I make a few small dollars off of each of your purchase that helps to support my channel. A lot of these videos take a lot of time, but I'm happy to do them to help folks out and to get them using their new gear and their equipment in the most efficient way possible. At least that's the goal. I hope I accomplish that. And I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like the video, share it with anybody who you think would get some use or enjoyment out of watching it. And also please subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content out. I'll be back really soon with some more. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Ciao for now.